now? All right. Can you guys hear me better now? How y'all doing? It's been a minute. Talk to me now. Happy Monday. Divine, how are you? Can you guys hear me now? Thank God. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Hi, Tony. Hi, Kevin. Yay. I'm glad y'all can hear me now. Thank God. Okay, so I guess I won't be using the mic. Okay, I was trying to be fancy, you know, trying to be professional and all of that. So maybe that's for another day. That's for another day. So as I'm waiting for my guest, let me see if she's here. I can't wait for her to join us because her testimony is life-changing. She has been, honestly, it's a blessing for me to know her, and I truly believe that you guys hearing her testimony is going to bless you. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in, by the way. How are you guys? How are you? I don't know if you guys are aware of Console. Yeah, there she is. There she is. Console is here. I am excited. Thank God for Console. There she is. All right, guys, I want you to invite all your friends. Hey!
Hello, hello.
Welcome, Console.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome. It is a
Oh my
blessing
God,
to
thank
have
you
you.
so much.
Oh my God. First of all, I want to tell everybody that I love this woman, guys. I love this woman. Every time I talk to her, she's always full of life, always full of light, laughing, and it is
That's
just
so
like
sweet of you. Thank you.
It's always
Thank
humbling.
you.
It's always humbling to me that your joy, your positivity, your kindness. I mean, girl,
You too.
first of all, it's an honor. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
I am
so
so
much.
humbled.
Really means a lot.
Yeah.
You're the same. You are. Yeah, you have a beautiful soul. You have
Glory
a
to
beautiful soul. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for having me, really. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. So before
Yeah.
we jump in, I just want to thank God. I want to give God the glory. So we can pray real quick. Father, thank you for allowing this to happen. We pray that your presence will be felt. We pray that your Holy Spirit will lead us and your presence will be felt by every single person tuning in. And I pray that the testimony, Console's testimony will encourage us and it will remind us of your goodness. And I thank you that we're going to learn something new today. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. All right. I'm just gonna let you introduce yourself first, and then
thank you so much.
you can go. So, who is Console? For those who don't know you,
Thank you. I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lisa, for inviting me here on your platform. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here. I was going to ask you which kind of language you're going to use, but now I just realized it's English. I was going to ask you that.
We are sticking to English.
So that we can have everybody.
We are Americanized.
Yeah. But that's okay. That's fine. Yeah. So everybody can be part of the conversation. Thank you so much, really. I appreciate you so much for having me here today and to share, to thank God. And I'm truly grateful to be here. Thank you so much. Really, it means a lot. For those probably who don't know me, my name is Console Nishimwe. I'm currently living in New York City. Just a single woman.
Yeah,
and I have written a book called Tested to the Limit, a genocide survivor story of pain, resilience, and hope. And of course, the book talks about my experience and what we are going to talk about here, what I've gone through during the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. So, and actually, because of that, my life has taken me to talking about it, to educate about what happened in Rwanda, and also to bring hope and encourage people, whatever they go through in life, that life goes on and there's a hope. Don't never lose hope. So, and I'm here to share, to learn. And
Yes.
pretty much I can share that. So everything else is just, yeah, but mainly that's me. So yeah. And I'm from Kibuye, Rwanda. So
Great.
that's all I can.
Rwanda. You were
Yes.
born and raised in Kibuye in Rwanda. So is that the only book that you've written?
I have many that will be coming, but that's the only book I've written. But I have also been part of so many other things, but that's the only book so far I've written, published. Yeah.
And I want to encourage everyone to go on Amazon and support her and purchase the book. You won't only just be reading of what she went through, but you'll be getting the wisdom from her surviving, and you are going to be touched. So guys, go, and her book is available on Amazon, so no excuses. Go and purchase it and support her. So Console, tell us a little bit of your life before the genocide. Because we have to also be specific, because that was the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994. How was your life?
Yeah,
what was
thank you. Of course, before 1994, there's a life before. I was very fortunate to be born in a beautiful place called Kibuye, Rengera, for those who don't know the area. So, and blessed to have a beautiful family. My parents were teachers. And I was the oldest in my family. I was 14 years old before 1994. Leading up to 1994, I was 14 years old. So growing up in that area, so with my parents, my 4 siblings, it was a beautiful family. To me, I was very fortunate to have both parents who were present, and not only physically and emotionally, and very affectionate parents. So I would say, really, I always say that my parents were really very good example how a couple marriage and a family supposed to be, if they are united, if they love each other. And I'm not the only person. People in my family really can testify how my parents were. So I don't take that for granted. I was very fortunate, because for those who have never had a family like that, I really I'm sorry for that. And actually, it hurts me a lot to know that, I feel sad that in your early beginnings of your life, you've never had a family like that. It's a painful thing for anybody in life. So, and I was very fortunate. My 2 parents were teachers. My dad was a very
educators. That's amazing.
In that small town,
they're strict. They can be a little tough.
Yes.
Yeah, because they want you to excel.
Yeah, that's true. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
They were very, they had order in our household. We had order. We had how to, to do things, not like anyhow you want, of course, but at the same time, it was a mixture of love and affection and from both parents. And my dad was somebody before I was born. My mom told me that my dad was actually, even after I was born, I could see that my dad was was a person who loved sport. So he loved to play soccer. And my mom used to go to see him while he was playing soccer, in a small village, in a small country.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So she had to go support.
I know. She was a fan. She was a fan of him. Yes.
The cheers. She was his biggest
yes. I always make fun of her, like first as the, Adora. My mom is my best friend, so I always joke with her. So I make fun of her, as a, how she was a fan of my dad. So, and then my dad, he loved sports, of course, playing at the same time. And then he was a teacher. He loved teaching. He loved kids. And I remember when I was young, when I was born, of course, we had many family members around. So like any Rwanda before the genocide, had your grandparents, your uncles, and many all around, many of them who were not too far from us. So, and I used to see, of course, my dad will, when I was little, I used to walk with him at school. I remember great memories of going to school with my dad. And he was very like a loving person to everybody. When I was young, I used to see many young people coming to home because he loved young people. So he had a warm heart. At the same time, he was very humble, very 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 humble man who had a warm heart, who was very very much welcoming to everybody. Like you could see, my mom also loved really his personality. So he was very welcoming, and you could see he had a beautiful personality, and he loved teaching. He loved to care for children. It didn't matter who they were. He would spend many hours, extra hours, even during the weekend, teaching, giving extra, classes to whoever wanted to get extra classes. And I grew up seeing my dad, at that time before the genocide, my dad giving himself to, without even thinking about what he was going to gain, whether it's money, of course, money from teaching. He loved to serve. So I remember my mom told me once that my dad, because of the persecution of Tutsis in the country, my mom used to tell my dad how he feels bad, what he was going through, what they were going through. If he should change the profession, maybe do something else. He gives his whole time, life to people, but at the same time, he was going through a lot of pain. So, and my dad told my mom, no, God is going to ask me what I did, not what people have done to me. So he loved to give his he knew that
that right there is key. God is going to ask me what I did, not what people have done.
He just loved people. He just loved what he was doing from his heart. So and he was the parent who would give you the time too. When I was little, he was present for me and my siblings. And I was that kid who would walk with my dad to school, and I would just play in his classroom. He would just, gently.
So how old were you? Like, how old were you
14
when
years
the
old.
genocide started?
At least I was very fortunate to spend that time with him and to get the love that I needed from him. So, and I grew up, around him like that. So, and my mom was very, walking together with him. We would just, they would walk on the street together, coming from school, holding hands.
Right. So they were like so loving, romantic parents.
And of course, but they would be parents at the same time, giving us, like any other parent, how to be good kids at home, and of course be strict as teachers, but at the same time giving love. So I grew up in that kind of environment. I was very fortunate to have also grandparents and who were very loving, and my cousins. So like everybody else, before the genocide, I enjoyed living in that small town with love and affection, despite what the country was going through. But they made sure we felt the love and affection. So pretty much summarizing a little bit about that, before the genocide, before I had to go through what I've gone through at that time in 1994, at least I tasted the love. I tasted what it feels like to be in a home where you are loved and cared for. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think also that has a lot to do, especially as young, you know, when we are still young, it's important for children to experience that warmth, that love from their parents, because I think it does a lot. Later on, when we become adults, it has a lot to do with how we view life and how we view love and relationships, and then just how we, you know, we live and how we carry ourselves. So it makes so much sense why you're like so loving, why you're so bright, and you have that heart you got from your parents. You know, I mean, those memories stay, because one thing too I remember from my parents too, because they passed away when I was really young, is I remember them being so loving to each other that it stuck in my head, to the point where I know that in my mind, like, I know that love is supposed to be joyful. I know love is supposed to be kind and peaceful, because of that little memory I have from my parents. You know, so memories from your childhood, they have a lot. They have a lot to do with how you, you know, how you view life and how you, your perspective on life, you know?
I agree with you 100%. That's why I always support, you know, I always encourage for parents, whatever you can, just care for your children, because the memories of your childhood can carry you through your life. Yeah.
The whole entire life, literally. Yeah. Wow. Okay, this question. Now, walk us through your life during the genocide. You know, during those 3 months, horrific, terrible, tough months of anyone could ever go through. I want you to walk us through it. You know, what happened? What happened to Consolate during the genocide?
I know it's but you know, it's the genocide. You know, the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi has affected so many survivors here. Have gone through a lot. All of us, you know, I'm not the only person who have gone through pain. I'm not the only person who suffered more than any other person, but every survivor carries something painful for what they have gone through during that period. Whether you were able to find somebody to hide you for the whole 3 months, but somehow you suffered because you were in hiding. So the pain, you had the fear within you. So there's something that was happening, so that was making you feel sad. You lost your family, you lost your entire, even though maybe nothing happened to you physically, but you suffered. You lost your entire family. Yes,
emotionally, you might have something, probably you never got any physical wound,
emotional wound. Yes, definitely. Yeah, so I just want a little bit emphasize that, because all of us really suffered a lot. So, and like I said before, coming from a family that loved me, that cared for me, the warmth and affection, and you're a 14-year-old, you're a girl who is looking forward to have a bright future. And before I started, I had 4 siblings. We were 5 kids in our household. You know, I was 14. My sister was 11, and my 2 younger brothers from age 9, 7, and 16 months old. So during that period in 1994. So, and as you can hear, you know, the whole family, you know, kids who are being in a home where they're taken care of, suddenly everything changed. So, like, you are young, so you think about like any other teenager. So it's not like, even though you see, as we grew up in an environment where we knew that being a Tutsi was not easy, but at the same time, I looked forward to a beautiful life. So somehow I was dreaming like any other person. I found myself, like many others in our area in Kibuye, Rengera, going into hiding for 3 months, not knowing if I will be here with you, if I will have a conversation with you. I never,
so your childhood was
everything
away from you.
You know, suddenly changed. You know, now you have to go into hiding for 3 months. You have to seek refuge without even thinking if you're going to survive. So that itself is really painful. So I found myself in, where we lived, of course, throughout the country. The genocide began April 7th. Like they said on the radio, Tutsis, everybody must be killed wherever you are. So we found ourselves going to hiding. So seeking refuge to people who we knew, our neighbors, we knew, our friends. Some of the people, my family, my dad taught their children, my mom taught their children, or even some people we went to the same church, or we went to, we shared so many things together. So that's the only thing we could seek refuge. That's the only way we can seek refuge. So, and at the time, I remember in our area, because a lot of people, we lived not too far from the communal office. I would say the mayor's office now, that's how they call it. So, and there were many people who were gathered in that area trying to seek refuge, because they were thinking that, if they go there, someone is going to help them. Maybe the authority is going to help them. But at that time, the authority was committing the genocide. They are the ones who were planning the genocide, who planned the genocide. And the homes were being burnt everywhere. And I remember me, my siblings, my mom, my dad, and my paternal aunt happened to be with us, but the rest of our family members were in other places and trying to figure out where to hide. So, and we left our home, of course, we left before, and we're trying to seek refuge. And with the people were coming from the communal office at that time, trying to go to Stadium Kibuye, Gatwaro. For those who know Gatwaro Stadium, so many Tutsis were killed there. So, and we're trying to follow the crowd going to the stadium. And at that time, I remember my parents, my siblings, and all of us together following the crowd, seeking, trying to think we were going to find refuge there. As we followed the crowd, of course, the crowd was singing the gospel song, because everybody wanted to help us through these trials and tribulations. I never forget that, because a lot of people were singing that song on the street going to the stadium. So, and to see women, old women, children, and everybody, those who didn't have strength and those who had strength, and trying to, ask God to help us through the trials and tribulations we were going through. And as we followed the crowd, not too far, we didn't go that far. My mom's instincts, the voice, I always say maybe the voice of God, told her, told her never to not continue going to the stadium. So we decided, she said, no, maybe we should go to a neighbor, like a friend. So we decided to go to the family. In another, it was, we approached the Malanza commune. So at the time, so then it was at the border. So, and then when we reached to the home, everybody else, the crowd, kept going to the stadium. So, and many of those people didn't survive in that stadium, didn't make it. So they murdered them. There's some family members were killed there. Many people that I know, even very few of my friends who were able to escape, but in not an easy way. They have painful stories coming out of that stadium. So, and you went to that family, but during the genocide, you never knew who was going to keep you for whatever long, because the ideology of hatred against the Tutsi was being taught many years in the minds of people, hating Tutsis simply because they were Tutsis. You never knew who was kind, you never know how, people change. So that family kept us not too long, but they decided not to tell us to leave. I remember the night we left our home,
because at that time, if I'm not mistaken, if also somebody keep let's say, for example, they will keep a Tutsi, they will hide them. They were either forced to kill, if they will, they will come and tell you to kill them, or they had to let you go.
If you were found,
Was that
if they come, because they used to come and they would search your homes, the killers, mostly the killers who were carrying the machetes, because they were killers who were killing people. They were searching homes, they were searching in the bushes where people were hiding. So sometimes they will, of course, tell people who were hiding to, the people to even kill them. But some people were strong enough, didn't allow themselves to do that. And some of them, very few were able to be killed along with the people they were hiding. So I know there's a family that I know it happened. So I know very few that it happened. So in that family, told us to leave, a few days when we spent a few days there. And I remember that night, actually, when we left, that's when I realized our lives were going to change completely. So, and being in your home and then finding yourself laying down on the ground in the bushes and it was very scary. As a kid, you were accustomed to being home, but now you're afraid. As everybody knows, you're afraid of being beat by an accident or anything else or anything, in the bushes. But at that time, one thing I remember when we were laying in the bushes, I remember that I was, the comfort of crickets, like somehow, as a kid, you're afraid of being outside, but somehow you become comforted by crickets, the voice of crickets, you hear the sounds.
Yeah, and they become
and the frogs
like,
and all these night, night voices.
Yes. Oh,
yeah, they become your comfort. So in a way, but unconscious, I thought about that later, how they became a little bit of my comfort for that period. So for that period in the bushes, because you as you would think, you would be afraid of being there, but at the same time, you were seeking somewhere to put you, to hide in a moss, place where nobody will ever find you. So, and I remember when we were in those bushes, of course, early in the morning, we're hiding in the sorghum plantation near the river, and the killers used to wake up in the morning and to go search Tutsis to kill. So they had roadblocks everywhere. So they would carry machetes. For those who know, they would carry machetes and clubs and all other weapons. And they started searching, and we could hear them talking, "Where are Tutsis? Wherever you are, show yourselves." It was one of the most hurtful things to hear, other human beings trying to, to kill other human beings who have same blood, and we're all, the same, and God loves us, so the same. I didn't understand myself how they would be so cruel to that extent. So, and
it was spiritual. All of that was spiritual, because when you look at when I thank God, because that was one of the questions I used to ask God. It was like, God, before I came to Christ, I used to always question the existence of God. I used to always question him. I used to be like, God, I don't understand how you can be so good and powerful and then allow things like this happen. Like, I used to always ask him why the genocide happened. I used to always ask him why, good people, like bad things happen to good people, like why we can be bad sometimes. And I'm like, God, like, why can't you just intervene? And that's when I came to understand that there's powers, like there's the power of God, and there's also the power of darkness. And when people are not in alignment with with the power of God, they definitely going to be in alignment with the power of the darkness, which is going to influence, that is going to influence to do dark things. And if you align with the Spirit of God, then you move from a place of love. You move, there's peace. You want peace, and you don't seek you don't seek to do evil to others. So when I realized that we have a choice, that's when I know apparently God has nothing to do with this. It's us people. It's us people.
No. This is good. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, if you can talk.
It's a long story. We will just minimize what
we will minimize it, because there's one of the reasons why I even wanted, like, I am so grateful that you're here is because despite everything you went through, you are the most, like, every time I'm off the phone with you, I'm always filled with joy. I'm always filled with life. I'm like, how does this girl, with everything she's been through, and she's like so full of life, you know, so full of joy. Usually when bad things happen to us, it's easy to also just go on the bad side and be like, I'm just gonna be the worst person, I'm gonna be mean. Usually sometimes we now end up on the wrong side. We, you know, people begin to spread hate and to spread division and anger. But I want to know, like, Jesus, maybe you, as I asked this question, getting to exactly, you know, what happened to you. Yeah, but my first question is, with after everything that you went through during the genocide, what is one thing that you learned about human character?
Oh, that's a very good question.
What is that one thing that you learned about,
you know,
human character?
One of the things that I've learned about human character, if we're not, people are, if we're not allowing ourselves to value as a creation of God, and to see your friend or your family, it didn't matter, and as a human being, as an image of God. You see, when I look in your eyes, I see a reflection of myself. If I don't value that, you know, see myself in your eyes, I see a reflection of myself in your eyes, that means we are all, you know, loved the same way. God loves us the same way. So that means I'm in alignment with God. I love, you know, I value a human being created by God. So if I'm not thinking that way, I'm capable of going in a different direction. So and that's one thing I've learned, just to know, if I don't see another human being as the same way as, you know, as I would wish to see myself, that means I'm not valuing God's creation. So to me, that means if, as a human being, if you're not thinking that way, you are capable of going in a different direction. So it could be either, you know, yeah. So I think, so to me, I've learned, as a human being, we have a choice. So as humans, we can have a choice to be bad or good, evil or good. So, and it's possible. So that means, like, if someone tells you that they have the right to kill another human being, it's because they chose to be on the bad side. So, and we have a choice as human beings. We have a choice to. That's one thing I've learned. Do I want it to be on the good side or a bad side? So I have a choice. That's one thing I've learned. Yeah.
We have a choice, right? And we each and every one of us, we are all capable of good, and no matter of a choice. Yeah. But you just said something that is so good. Like, if I look at you, I see my reflection. If I look at you in your eyes, I see myself. If we can learn to see that, with, like, where we look at each other, the fact that we can see each other through our eyes, that already is the most powerful thing. If human being, we can learn that, then we will stop doing harm to each other, you know, because even like the word of God says that love thy neighbor as you love yourself. I think also when you understand that, you learn to love, because the perfect love is from God, and then you have that relationship with God, and you have that healthy relationship with yourself. Automatically, what you want for yourself, you want for the other person.
Like,
so talk to me.
Like you said that, I was thinking, what? Like, I always tell, my mom told me one time recently, in Rwanda, icyo wagaye ntuzemere ko kikuzira mu buzima. Icyo wagaye ntukemere ko kiba mu buzima bwawe. So I don't know.
Ubuzima bwawe, pretty much like Wow.
Yeah,
That is so
so
powerful.
I
Wow.
wrote it somewhere, and I always nugget wisdom.
That's a beautiful quote. You should write it down and
Yeah.
yeah, for real. So, oh my God.
Yeah.
So now let's get to your father. Like your
Yeah.
father, what happened to you? Did you see your father being murdered? Were
Yeah.
you there?
Yeah.
Did you see it? And
Um,
how did you
yeah,
feel?
maybe a little briefly of what happened, because the history is a long history of what happened. Story is a long story of what happened. So
Yeah.
during that period, I mentioned when we were hiding there. So we get to a point where my dad actually decided, because the killers were following us, my dad decided to go hiding in different place. So and the killers, of
Yeah.
course, was during the day, and the killers were searching, trying to find Tutsis to kill. And at the time when we reached our home, my dad decided to go and hide in a different place. The killers decided to follow my dad. So the rest of us were hiding in the home. They took us in their house, in the sitting of their home. And later that evening, that's when we learned, because the killers usually used to come outside and they will, talk about how they are doing a good work. Actually, killing during the genocide was work. So they used to call it going to work. So, and they said how many people they killed, especially in the village. When they talk about people, it's just about names of people they know, like the people who a lot of people knew each other. So I never thought I was going to hear how they made them mentioning that they have murdered my dad. So, and it was the hardest time, being in the ceiling, hearing that. And my mom, of course, me and my siblings were so young to even pay attention to what was being said outside. It was my mom. Most of the time it was me and my mom, paying, attention to a lot of things, what's going on.
What's
It
going
was hard. It was hard. My mom knew how my dad was my best friend, how tough it
on?
was for me. And we cried. Of course, during the genocide, you never knew if you were going to survive. So it was more about you keep hiding. So you keep hiding. If you're going to survive, you survive. So, and these people were talking how they murdered my dad because they followed him and ran after him. And I remember before the genocide happened, I don't know if I wrote that in the book, I had a dream. Of my dad, because I loved my dad so much and my mom. So we really allowed to. I was daddy's girl. I had a dream
Yeah. Oh,
when the
that's
genocide was about to happen. When my and I used to have a lot of dreams, and I still do. I get dreams of them.
wow.
And I have a tendency of
Wow.
dreaming things. Sometimes I see almost exactly the same thing. Yeah.
Me too. Me,
Yeah.
me too. Like prophetic
Mm-hmm.
dreams,
And I
right?
used to have a lot of
Me
dreams before
too.
the genocide. So, and as a kid, of
Mhm.
course, you would not tell people, your parents, this is what I dreamed. They would be like, no, 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 no. They would cry.
Right. Oh my God. I'm telling you, some of those dreams were
Yeah,
like God communicating. Like
yeah.
you
And
never know.
I had a
Hmm.
dream when my dad, people were following him and running after him on the street, like on the road, one of the main roads. We are living not too far from the main road. When you come for the bus coming from Kigali on the streets, we could see the bus, that big bus, and some cars we
Hmm.
could see them.
Mm.
I had a dream when my dad, people were
Mm.
following him, and they were running after him. That was
And
before
that
the
was before he
genocide in
died.
my dreams. And during the genocide, actually,
Mm.
killers followed him and ran after him. So it was, and really, I remember that dream. So I was so scared, at that time. But then now having to see that, to experience that in the genocide, so it was really painful. Of course, when I was hiding, I never
Mm. So
remember the dream. I remember the dream after
you never
I survived, after it happened.
after it
So,
happened.
and as you can imagine, it was not easy. We cried, but we kept hiding for those 3 months. My mom had to carry me, my brothers on her back, sometimes on her chest, and we'd be hiding in the bushes. It was a rainy season. We knock on doors of neighbors, people we knew. Sometimes they will help us, sometimes they won't help us. Sometimes they will call the killers on us.
What did you guys like? What did you eat? How did you like, or how was, like, life, like, and like daily, how was
That's
it
a
like,
very good question.
life,
So it's most of the time whenever we were going to a home, knocking on doors of home, sometimes a person there will give us some food. So if someone will hit us in their home, because there were times I described in the book, some people will hit us in their home during the day. We'll be hiding in the bushes. Someone will carry food for us. We'll bring them, like food. And sometimes, especially for my younger brother, who was always hungry and would always say, I want to go home. I want to be home. And it was hard for us to even, make him quiet. As you can imagine, he was young. He was a baby. So, and rarely we ate, but we ate sometimes whenever we got to a home, somebody would just give us food late in the night. So it wasn't like all the time we eat, like morning, evening, and all. No.
So some days
somebody will find us in the bush, because there's one time someone found us in the bush, and it was a deaf person who was taking cows and in the trying to take care of the things he was taking care of, and found us where we were hiding. And we're trying to tell him, don't tell anybody you found us. And he actually, later on, he brought water. So, there's some things that used to happen in a way that you never expected. So it wasn't like, there's some people who did kind things. We never thought they were going to be kind to us. And somehow, and most of the people who didn't have anything, like very poor, they would just like, put you in a small place where they barely even find what to eat themselves, but they will share what they have, what they have at that time. So it used to happen. There's so many instances where we found people who were supposed to be unkind, maybe because there was one person who they were part of the killing. I remember this home we were hiding at that time. We knocked on their door. My mom told their kids in school. The mother was part of the killing, and the father. So God used the kids. The kids were kind and begged their mom and screamed, and that's how we were able to come in the house and have something to eat. So, and even lay down. So because of the kids, and they are still our friends. They're still friends of my mom even now. They're not kids. They're very grown people. So
they're grown.
And they were so kind, and they helped my mom and myself and my siblings at that time. And it was a time where we found help in a way that we never thought the person would be kind. Even and many times we went to ask for help. For the people we thought they would help us because they were friends of us, and still they would call killers on us. So, and it was a mixture of everything. So, and even like one time I remember we knocked on the door of people who were beginning Sabbath, like Seventh-day Adventists, a family, and they were like really singing in the house. You could hear they were singing and getting ready for Sabbath. And they refused to open the door. Like, leave here. We don't want Jean, my mom named. Jean, leave here and your kids. It was late in the night. My mom would beg many times for the people to help us. And it happened many, many times when people refused and still they did horrible things. I remember one time we went to this home, and the family was very close to my family, and many, many years, and when their kids were very close to our family. And the way they lived was facing high school, And the men came outside, and there was a killer who was standing outside. It was early in the morning. So instead, he started calling killers to come and help him to kill us. And there were a killer who was standing there. By the grace of God, somehow nobody paid attention. He went back. He was so mad and angry. And the man who was standing here waiting the order, he told us and my mom to leave. They said, just leave. I don't want to see you here. And it was just miracles that used to happen in a way that you could see like things were going to happen, and somehow God, but of course we went through so many things, horrible things, and in that time when my mom would carry, many times we were in the bushes, the rainy season, we lost shoes, and we didn't have anything. I mean,
did you all? I mean, all of you and your siblings.
No, it got to a point where another place we were able to hide, because the killers. Of course, we had to go through different journeys, and at that time it was not too far from our home, and already destroyed home, and it was a family that hid my mom, because while we're hiding, the killers decided to take my mom to that neighbor, and me and my siblings were able to find my mom where my mom was, because when they took her later on, they took her to that neighbor because one of the neighbor who was supposed to help my mom refused to help my mom, and the killers decided they were arguing if they're going to kill her. Later on that day, they decided to put her in one of the neighbors' old neighbor, a man who was so old, and they left her there. Me and my siblings were hiding, and I took of course, the man who was hiding us told me and my siblings to go find our mom. So as we were trying to go through bushes and this, trying to see if we could find our mom, we're able to reach to a home. This home, very old, very poor family, and they took us in their home, and they fed us. They started telling us what happened to our mom. So our killers, took her all over, and then later on they decided to leave her to the home, and that's when me and my siblings were able to join our mom. And of course, but the plan of killing my brothers, started. So. And it was so horrible that one time they decided to say that they were going to kill my brothers. And when the plan happened, no, it was because everybody was talking about where we were. It was a small town, a small village. Everybody knew who survived, who is going around. So, and it was a talk that my mom was all over, and her children trying to find refuge, and who was going to help. So, and as the plan, was as they planned to kill my brothers, what my mom did in that home, she took us in the room and she taught us to pray. And because we were all of us were preparing ourselves to be killed. So, and she took us in the room, and I remember that time we prayed a lot, really a lot, and my mom, thank God, my mom, every time where we're hiding, she used to remind us to pray. She always reminded us to pray, and she said, pray, whatever happens, just keep praying in your hearts. Even if you die, at least you're going to heaven. And that day, we prayed a lot. And I remember when the killers came, one of the person who took my brothers was somebody who grew up with my mom, where my mom grew up. So the family was very close family. So I grew up knowing that family was part of our family. So the young men came to take my brothers and with others. So as they took my brothers, of course, all of us were begging to be taken. I never forget the image of my brothers, the one who was 9 years old and 7 years old. I guess because of the prayer, somehow they had a light on clear face. You could see they were very calm. Yeah. So
Brilliant.
because my younger brother, who was always on my mom's chest and her back, who was snatched away from her, they had, as you can imagine that scene, how it was. Those of all of us screaming, take all of us, don't take you know, our brothers, and my mom screaming, and somehow of course we didn't have the strength and, you know, to do what he wanted. So my younger brother was snatched away from my mom, and the two of them, my two brothers, they took my younger brother and they held him, and they told my younger brother they are going to join daddy in heaven. So it was hard, especially for my mom to see her three precious kids taken like lambs to be slaughtered, and we watched them, and we were screaming, and it was not easy. It was not easy scene, actually. Yeah. And they took them to our destroyed home, already destroyed home. Later on, I learned how horrible it was. They slaughtered them and threw their bodies in septic tank of our home. It was one of the hardest thing my mom, myself, all of us had to go through. I learned later on that one of my younger brother, the 7-year-old, actually begged. He tried a little bit to say, forgive us, can you let us not kill us? And actually it was one, I heard he was killed, he was tortured more than others. Normally don't say that about, yeah. And other things I've learned later on, what happened. So it was hard. My mom didn't want all of us to go in hiding again, and somehow she wanted to kill us, to come and take all of us. As you can imagine, we crashed, there was no point for us to live again anymore. So especially for a mother whose kids were snatched away from her. But somehow when you survive, when God wants you to be here and to survive, and things keep happening, you never know, whatever plans, whatever you think of, like, there's always another plan. So, and we were able, some people were able to take us in their home, but during the genocide against the Tutsi, many people know that rape was used as a weapon, especially for women. If they didn't kill you right away, it's because they just want to do something to you, torture you more and keep you. And we were hiding. A man came there and took me from everybody, and of course a mother who had lost her children, and now another child is taken from her, which was another scene too. Horrible, also not easy. Sometimes I can't find words when I'm talking to describe what he was, how he looked like. I tried in a book to describe it, but it wasn't like it's not easy. Sometimes I don't find the words to describe what it felt like, so what it was like, and to even describe how my mother, especially my mom, how she was, and to describe how she looked and she was, and the pain she was going through. So, and unfortunately, I was taken by this man, beaten by him. He had a sword, and it was.
Do you remember like the age?
He was
how old he was?
In her 30s. So he was a man that I grew up, seeing all the time. They were neighbors. somebody I knew very well. The family I knew very well. And before actually I was raped by him, he took me first to his family. It's not something his family. So he had a family because they were neighbors of our family. So first he took me there, and his brother begged him to not do anything to me. He said, "Can you let this?" This was a family friend, so don't do anything to this girl. Of course, he didn't listen, and took me not too far from our home. And unfortunately, I was, as you can imagine, what it was, and begging, you're a kid, you're 14, you're begging, don't kill me, don't do anything to me. Unfortunately, I was raped by him, and he left me there, and he was hoping maybe other people would come and keep doing what they were doing, he did to me. So when he left me there, I just hoped that maybe someone will come and kill me. Actually, among so many things, losing my brothers was horrible, but this was one of the hardest and horrible things that I had to endure during the genocide.
Ooh, I wish I was there to hug you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. I wish
Because
I
know this is one of the pain. Thank you so much, sister. This is one of the pain I know a lot of survivors carry. It's one of the most painful things that any survivor who have gone through this don't know how to even talk about it, to even express the pain they endure within themselves. Especially when you go through this at a young age, it's horrible. When you're a little girl, you just, and something horrible like that happens to you, you don't know how to deal with that. So for me, I was able to drag myself. That's how I could say that, because it's not because I wanted to, to find a refuge again. So I just walked on the street, and I just hoped that somebody would kill me. And I was able to reach where my mom was and my sister. So my mom didn't know if I survived. They didn't know if I would be able to leave again. So, and the woman of the household and my mom, so forth, they had to take care of my injuries. As a mother,
like seeing your daughter just got raped. You don't know what to, you don't know what to do. Like, what do? You feel helpless as a mother. You feel like you're gonna feel like you failed.
As I get older, that's when I realized how hard it was for my mom. How she was able to, I don't know how she managed to see me, and I don't know how she was able to carry through that pain and to see me in that condition and be able to be strong. I don't know. As an older person, I don't know if I will be able to, if it was my child, what would I do? I always ask myself that question. So if I was in her position, I'm the child, I'm the mother, what would I have done? So she's strong. She's a very, very strong woman. I don't know how it's God. It's God. And if it was not God, I don't think she would have been able to be who she is right now, and a strong woman she is, loving and caring. For those who know her, there are so many people, some people who visit her, and she's one of those people that I would wish anybody can have as a mother figure. And she's true. She's a true loving and caring human being I've ever known in my life. So, and very strong too, resilient and strong, um, and of course, it was during that period, of course, was able to find another refuge with my mom in a Muslim community. Of course, in that area, we in Kibuye Rubengera, because it was a zone turquoise, for those who know. That's why the genocide lasted long for 3 months. And we're able to find a Muslim man who was very kind, who didn't commit the genocide, who didn't even like touch any blood. This is a person that we were able to find was very, very kind. And this was someone, a young man who my mom used to buy clothes from, because he used to go to Zaire, Congo, to buy, the people is So my mom used to buy clothes from him, and because they used to hear what was happening to us, because a lot of people have murdered in that area. It was a talk. Oh, Jeanne and her kids. Oh, this is what happened to her. So we were like a conversation. People were, talking about us. So, and it got to a point where these men were able to end up in his home. And when we were there, that's when he decided to say, I'm not going to allow anybody to do anything to you again. So he stood up. Even killers tried a few times to come there. And there was also a search that happened because there are people who were killed in that Muslim community, because that community, they tried to hide people. And there was one man who was murdered alongside with people he was hiding. And he wrote that in a book. So he's a hero to me, and he allowed himself to do such heroic thing. And then he was murdered alongside with them. And where we were hiding in the house, the people, the police people and other people came to search, and they tried to kill me and my mom. At that time, my sister was hiding in another place. So, and someone took her in another place. And they were trying to kill me and my mom, and this policeman who went to school with my mom, elementary school, he kind of stood in the middle of us and them, and the one guy who was trying to kill us, who had a gun, and he said, no, let this woman, they left her with her daughter. He thought it was me and my mom alone. He said, no, so it's and he stood up. He just said like things in his brain, like just let her. So and this man is still a good friend of my mom. So it was a policeman, very.
It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, so
we have to
he stood up in the middle. So by the time they left, of course, there were other people killers who tried to come there, because already they knew we were hiding there. So this man stood up. He said, nope, you're not going to touch them. So, and that's how God used him. Anyone. And we were not the only people he hid. So there were other people he hid before. And he was helping with other people in the community there. So in that Muslim community, actually, they were so kind enough to do such heroic things. So many people in the town were not doing. So, and he hid us. That's why we're able to survive. And of course, the country, the RPF, was serving the genocide everywhere. So, and that's how we survived. So, and he took us actually until we were able to reach RPF. And
everything. So that guy who raped you,
he's the only one
who raped you, right? And there's no Jesus.
And when after that, of course, I found out it was my mom, my sister, of course, my mom and my sister, and who survived in our household, and the rest of our family members, we didn't know who survived. We learned that many of my grandparents, my uncles, my aunts, and many others, because later on we found few people who survived. On my dad's side, almost everybody was killed. So, and almost everyone. So that means actually now in the household of my dad, his siblings, his parents, everybody was killed. So we are the only people that like grandkids who, few grandkids who survived. And then on my mom's side, she survived with her sister, her big sister, older sister. And, but there are some cousins, you know, from on that side who survived. So, but we're not a big family, except that some of them were able to get married. My kids, you know, my sister also were able to have children. Other than that, it was not we were just a very small family. And later on, like everybody else, you know, trying to, you know, go back to normal life. And it was not easy. You know, I went through the genocide, through rape, as like many other young girls and women. I am going through a painful thing that I didn't have even the words to describe what I was feeling within myself. And then at the same time, I lost people, we lost people. So you're going through so much. And then you're going to school, everything was just nightmare. Every time I used to sit anywhere, I would just think about all the things that I've gone through. So, and my mom went back to teach. But one of the things that I love my mom, and she went back to teach, but she taught me.
Not to cut you off, but I want to thank every single person who is there purchasing a badge. Thank you guys. God bless you. May he replace back.
God bless you. Thank you so much. And and my mom went back to teach, but one of the things she told me, and my sister and my cousin actually, who lost her parents and her siblings, and my mom had to raise me and her, and my sister. So she taught us to love. She always reminded us, do not carry any hatred within you. Despite the pain, I know you are going through a lot of pain. She knew, because of being a teacher, she knew a little bit of psychology, like what it feels like, you know, as a children, the trauma you were carrying and all that. She was very gentle. She would be like, do not allow yourself. She constantly remind us to love, not hate, do not hate. And actually what she was telling us, that's exactly what she was doing, because she went to school, be loving to the kids of some of my brothers, because she was teaching in the 4th grade, and my brothers, some of them were my brother's classmates, and some of them were the same age of my brothers who, and even the people who.
So she wasn't just telling you; she was like practicing what
I think
she was doing.
One of the things probably I can remind parents, kids. You can tell kids things, but what you do is more important than what you say, because they imitate what you're doing. So, and to me, seeing her, what she was doing really helped me. I could have gone in a different direction. If I would have gone in a different direction, it would not be here. I would not be here with you. So it could have been different, you know, because I always believe it could have been different. So because of her, that's why I always credit her. She always reminded me good things instead of bad things. Despite the pain, she always reminded me to love, to care, despite the pain, because we're carrying so much pain within.
Wow. So let me ask you a question, you know, because did you ever feel at some point that you wanted to find, you know, the killers who killed your brothers and your dad, that you wanted to revenge, or somehow it will make you feel better? Did you ever feel like that?
Because of the way I was this kind of a girl who carried so much pain, and because I had you know, my personality, I'm a person who is not necessarily aggressive, or who would just be, I could be, and you know, but thank God, my personality, I'm not like that. But actually, but the pain was too much to bear. So because of the pain, I didn't necessarily want to see the people. That's not something that I wished it to do. But I was able to face the guy who, by the grace of God and Imam, and with the help of my mom and other people, the man who raped me, actually, I faced him in prison. So when I was still a teenager. Yes, I was still a teenager, still in high school, and I had to, really, that was one.
Can you walk us in that process, like how did it feel regarding to, and also I want you to share like what, you know, the rape wasn't just the rape, something
the rape.
also came out of the rape.
Yeah. You know, like many other girls and, you know, women who were raped during the genocide, there's always consequences. There's always something. Many of them live with HIV. Others live with, they have children from rape, and they can have both HIV and kids at the same time. And their kids, you know, who were born from rape, and some of them who might even be here listening to our conversation, the parents probably never told them what happened. So it's really painful. So I, like many other girls and women, I found out I was HIV positive later on, which is another pain that constantly reminded me of what I've gone through. I have a pain of rape. I have a pain of losing a parent, but then I have something constantly remind me, like what happened. You know, like it was too much. It was a lot of things that needed God to be there for me to, you know, console me. And I remember my name is Console, but at the same time, I needed consolation. I needed comfort myself.
You needed,
So, like, you asked me to tell you the scene of going to see this man.
Was that before you found out that you were HIV
so
positive?
I, you know, to me, it wasn't like something that I wanted to do, myself. It was just because this man left the area where we lived, and he went far away in a different province. And some people found out that he was hiding there, trying to, you know, live a normal, like many killers who are trying to, you know, go some other places because of what they have done, where they live. They would try to find other places to live. And some people found him, away
from the past.
Yes. Some people were able to know where he was, and they told my mom. So as soon as they told my mom, of course, they wanted to make sure he was in prison. So the person who told my mom actually managed to make sure he was sent in prison. He was in prison, and he took a photo with him. They took a photo with him in prison. So to make sure they show my mom that they found him. So, and that photo is there. So of course I will not put that photo in it's somewhere. So it's with these two. One day I'm probably not many who help. The people who help me and my mom. I will really hopefully one day, if they accept to be seen in public, I will do that. So, and but we are truly grateful for them. So, and they help me. They help me to go there. I was young. I was still in high school. It was a few years after the genocide, not even, probably 2 years after the genocide, and I was fragile and didn't want to do anything like that, of course. But with that help, I was able to go there to the prison because I had to tell the officer it was me and I'm there. So, and I didn't have words. It just, the man saw me and screamed, but I didn't have anything to say because I was very traumatized. I just say what I needed to say, to be honest. I don't know what I was able to say, but I at least they saw me and they comforted me. The officer there was so kind enough to protect me at that time. So, and they didn't force me to say too many things because I was not in a position of telling too much because I was still fragile and very, in a lot of pain. So, and traumatized too, to even see him, because seeing him was almost like as if he was going to do the same thing to me again. So, yes, memory back. But at least when I left, I knew he was in prison. So I had to go through another journey of the pain, knowing that not what am I going to do to be able to heal, which was a long journey too, to be where I am right now. So it was a long journey. So I'm one of the few. I don't think many survivors were able to do that. And to me, it didn't happen because I was good at doing that. So I thank God that at least it happened. So, and when I wrote a book, I felt like I didn't have to put that photo in there. Maybe hopefully one day with a documentary, so maybe a film, a documentary, I might maybe be able to use it. But I didn't want him to be you were not ready. So I was not ready for that. So, and it was not easy for me to then to go deal with the trauma of living with HIV. And
when did you find out that you had constructed
over
HIV?
the years, I used to talk to my mom because my body was changing a lot. Even I used to get sick, but my mom, that denial when you going through something in your body. I used to talk to my mom a lot. So, and I was told her, say, my body's not good. And then I'm thinking, what if something happened to me? So, but you're always in denial. So, of course, but the good thing is my mom was very comforting to me, and I used to talk to her a lot. She would try to comfort me, and of course we were in denial, all of us, trying to not think about that too much. And but as the time went on, HIV virus usually it can stay in your body for as long, and for years. I found out when I was very sick. That's when I was forced to go to get tested. So for those who know HIV, when you're at that level, almost like AIDS, that's when because I was very sick, I would be swollen, having my legs with bumps and my inside my like I will have like what you call the pain. So whenever I swallow the water, I will not be able to swallow the water. I was getting very sick. So, and that's when I was forced to go and get tested. Then I had the courage. So I was at the lowest. If I would have not done that, I don't think I would be here. So I was getting to almost to one day, maybe to to die. So, but it took me some years, about maybe around 2003. That's when I was very sick. Yeah, very sick. So, and that's when I was able to get the courage. And when the test came out, I had to learn how to receive it, but it was not easy. It was not easy, but my numbers were very low. I was very getting sick. I was not. My body was deteriorating somehow. So, and I had to do something about it. Take medicine, of course, and that's why I'm healthy. Yeah. So it's not easy to take a pill. It's not easy to start on medication, knowing that this is going to be for the rest of your life, and you have to tell your brain this is how it's going to be. Of course, I had to go through the journey. I was young, very young, thinking now how my life was going to be. I was not very much educated about HIV, and I was thinking maybe this is the end of me. So how would I, one day have a family on my own. How will I live a normal life like everybody else? I had so many things in my head, and then I had the trauma of rape that I was not really accepting within me. It took me many, many years, praying and all that, but I have to go to therapy. So therapy, really, if I didn't do therapy, I would not sit here with you. Therapy took me to a different way of.
Did you go to therapy back in Rwanda, or
Yeah,
was
here.
when you came to the US? So obviously you got the HIV from the guy.
And he died
He's
in
the one that
prison,
gave it to
actually.
you.
Yeah, he died in prison. Yep. He died in prison, but I didn't follow very much how what happened afterwards. But I followed that he was, still there, and then he died afterwards. So yeah.
This is why we have to stop, when it comes to like hate and all these racial things. We need to start seeing each other as God's children. And all of us are created in God's image. When we start to allow ourselves to be divided, with like whatever race, or this is where I come from, or because division and hate, they only bring destruction. They only cause issues and problems, things that are not meant to happen.
Yeah. Be strong, dear. Yeah, I know it's not easy, and what I'm saying, I'm not the only person.
And I love the fact that you are so strong, and you come here and you share your story, and the way you always share the message of love and faith. I want to know how. I pray that the whole world gets to know God for real, because when we truly get to know God fully, this world would just be filled with love. We will love each other. There will be unity. There will be less violence. So, can you tell me how did you find peace? How did you find peace? How did you make peace knowing that you are going to live with this thing for the rest of your life?
I know. It's strong, dear. It's strong.
And for anyone out there, like, I'm sure this, we all go through hard things, and we complain, we live life ungrateful, and when you hear what other people have been through, it humbles you, and I think like people like you really inspire me.
Thank you. Thank you.
People like you.
Thank you.
So how did you find peace, and how are you able to come every single day and show up with joy and peace?
It was a long journey, and being a teenager, you had to and go through those kind of things, and you're still young like everybody else. My life as a teenager was completely like cut short, being a teenager, being a normal teenager, where I would think of like things a teenager would think of. I didn't have those things. So, and it was more about the pain. It was more about what happened to me. But at the same time, I'm truly grateful that at least I survived with my mom, which is one of the things that I'm so grateful for, because many of the people lost their entire families. At least I have a parent to lean on her shoulder, at least to cry on her shoulder. Despite the pain, at least I had that shoulder to lean on and cry. So, and but at the same time, she was carrying her own pain. But I needed also to to do my own journey of healing, to do my own journey of healing, because what I was carrying within myself, I was the one who was carrying it, within myself. So I was the one who was carrying that pain, and every time I took a pill, it reminded me of what happened. It could have taken me in a dark place, of not loving life, or just seeing life not worth living. So, but thank God I was able to find the right people here, and I went to therapy, a good therapist. Of course, I had to change therapists, but I found the right one who was able to listen to me and gave me the time to express the way I wanted to express my pain. And because of also that, I was able to know how to pray. So because when you go to therapy, through therapy, you also know how to connect with God, and whenever you pray, you could feel the comfort and in your heart. So, and I don't think if I didn't go to therapy, I don't think it would have been easier to know why I'm alive. I would be complaining and maybe not knowing how to appreciate to God that I was alive. Many people lost their lives. So, and gradually I learned how to appreciate myself. So it started through journaling. When I went to therapy, of course, it helped me also to start journaling. Every time I journal, it was almost like a release. I was releasing what I was carrying within myself. So the more I did that, the more I felt light in my body. The more because I wanted to go back to that girl that I was before. I was far away from her. Like I felt like I was in exile. So it was almost like I was in exile, but I need to return home. I need to return home. How would I get home? So it's through the journey, and the journey, self-acceptance.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit, what are your thoughts on forgiveness? Like going through the healing journey, was it hard for you to forgive, and also not just the not just the killers, but how was it, like, were you able to also accept and let go? Like, what do you think about forgiveness? How did forgiveness, what was the impact of forgiveness in your heart?
Through that journey of therapy and self-acceptance, I was able to open that door to seeing life worth living. So it was like, for me, I became vulnerable. To me, vulnerability is not a weakness. So to me, learning to be vulnerable through the pain, because when you have a wound, like you have a wound, you can't just put a cover without even washing the wound. In order to have the wound to heal, you have to wash it. So for me, I had to really go through that wound and touch it, and even though it was painful, but at the same time, it allowed me to start feeling relieved in my body. And I started to even opening a door to knowing that carrying the pain within myself was not going to help me find joy in life, even be able to see life worth living. So, but it opened the door also to forgive, because forgiveness, it's not about letting go of, it's not about the other person, it's about you too. So about you, it is one of the best things you can do for your own well-being. So it opens the door to appreciate life, to seeing life worth living. And then I was able to see, HIV as not a threat anymore in my life. So the medicine, didn't come as a medicine anymore. It's like a vitamin to me. So whenever I take a pill, I no longer see it as a medicine. I see it as a vitamin to me. So, like a supplement.
Vitamin, like a
So
supplement.
to me, it was a journey with me and my mom, because I didn't do that journey on my own. It was a journey together, a mother and daughter going through the same journey, because we needed to have a healthy life. In order to have a healthy life, in order to appreciate human beings, you have to also open that door to forgiveness. So, and for me, that's why I am who I am. That's why I appreciate life. That's why I see, another human being as like myself. So I really love life because of that. So, and then I didn't want to carry the other human being within me, because that person becomes a hostage of your life for the rest of your life. So I didn't, they did what they did to you, but then you become a hostage to them. So for the rest of your life. So, and when I did that, to be honest, really, it relieved me, and I feel free. I no longer carry, I don't have to be bitter to feel better.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I can relate, because, and I think I share that with you. Like, I remember too, I was like kind of molested by someone, and I carried that hurt and pain for me for a while, because I thought I had forgiven this person, but it's something that I carried for a long time. And when I decided to forgive them, and it was actually when my healing journey began in 2019, when I received Christ. And before, because that was the time I was getting to, I just felt like everything in the world didn't matter. I was like, I just want to know God for who he is. Like, that, from what I hear people say, I want him to know him, not about religion. I was like, God, I want you. And I was like, Jesus, you know what? You exist. You better reveal yourself to me, like, personally. And one of the requirements is he started bringing the unforgiveness I had in my heart. And especially when you're young, you don't know, like, bad things happen to you, and you're shocked, right? And you just keep it somewhere in your heart, and you just keep moving on with your life. But that thing keeps staying in you, and you become a hostage of the person. They live inside of you, and it becomes a weight. And I remember literally listening to the Holy Spirit. He said, Magali, you have to forgive this person. And I started arguing with the voice of God. I was like, God, no, this person already forgave them. He's like, no, you did not. And I had to face the fact that I had resentment that I had no idea was there. And I remember forgiving made me feel so light. Yeah, I felt like it's like, I feel like that person left me. It's like I felt something left me.
And when you sorry,
yeah. No, it's fine. What do you think it's important for us to forgive, to forgive people who hurt us, especially as a genocide survivor, after everything you went through in your family, after they did to you in your family? Why did you think it was important for you to forgive them?
For me, I think it's a journey. It's really a journey. It's not like something that that happens overnight. But it's a relief to you. If you want to live a healthy and fulfilling life, you really have to allow that to happen in your life. So if you want to, because you're here for a reason, there's a reason why you survived. And to me, it allows you also to appreciate life, and also to see yourself as, because you are living on behalf of so many of our family members. So I don't think my dad would be happy if he sees me in pain, if he sees me in bitterness or anger, or like, I don't think he would be happy about that. Because my dad was, I always remind myself where my dad would want me to be. So I always remember, your dad was somebody who believe that, you know, who never believed in hatred or anything, just to be kind. And I wanted to be a kind person for the rest of my life. So, but it has to begin with me. It has to start within me. Right. So I had to do the work within me. So I love this quote from Mandela, Nelson Mandela. I say resentment is like swallowing poison, hoping that it will kill somebody else. So, and I love this quote. This man, you see what happened in his life and how he ended his life. So to me, I want my life to end well. So, but I had to do the work. So within me. So, and for me, to have a healthy life, it has to begin within me. So in my mind, and I have to have a healthy living within. So, and that's why I allow myself to go through that journey, even though it was not easy. Being vulnerable is not an easy thing. Especially for us Rwandans. Yes, like, yes.
And first of all, someone here might not even know what vulnerable means. What is being vulnerable?
To me, vulnerability is allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to be seen, even though you don't know the outcome. Even though you don't know the outcome, but I don't know. I'm trying to find the right.
No, that is deep, because that is,
it's
you know, it's like
for opening up yourself, even though you don't know the outcome, but just trust the process, trusting the process, because it will be one of the best things that you can do for yourself, and also for everybody else around you, because you become a good sister, you become a good friend, you become a good neighbor, you become a good for so many things, because you
that's by allowing yourself to be vulnerable. I think in our culture, you know, we used to actually be shamed by it. You know, if you open up, if you say there's something, and they will shame you, like, and then you know, like, wipe your teeth, girl. Life, you can't. Life is hard.
And then we grew up in a society where we're not taught how to be vulnerable, not how to share the, you know, stories, and or even share your painful stories. But it's so good if you can. I encourage everybody, all of us, let's create safe space for others to start their healing journey. For me, being vulnerable, it started from someone who listened to me. Somebody created a safe space for me, listened to me, gave me the time to share my painful things without judging the way I was sharing my painful thing. Because when you have trauma, sometimes you don't have the language to explain what you were going through within yourself. To me, the best gift you can give to somebody is is listening. Just create a safe space. Listen without judging, and be there for that person so that they can begin their their journey of healing. So we need to be there for each other, because yes,
we need to be
deeper. Never push anybody or judge anyone. If another thing is, if you see somebody who is going through a lot of different behaviors, because trauma can create all kinds of behaviors in our lives. So if you see somebody going through that in the wrong journey, just be kind enough to be there for them, so that they can find help, they can seek help, so that they can go in the right direction. So just instead of saying what's wrong with that person, say what happened, how can I just come from a place of compassion and kindness. Yes. It helps. It really helps. Yeah.
So I have 3 questions before we leave. I know the time, but this question is, I want to know, what's your source of strength? You know, what is your source of strength? Like, you know, being the woman that you are, the joyful, smiling, encouraging others, because the way you encourage others is because it's somewhere, it's coming from somewhere. That means your cup, you're filling your cup as well, because otherwise you would not be here filling our cup, you know. So what is your source of strength?
My strength, first of all, comes from God. Thank God. Thank you. Without God, I don't think you will not be anything. I mean, I don't think you be anything really. God comes first, and everything else comes together. Comes around God. So God brings all the other things you choose to do in life. So, and for me, God, of course, He brought great people in my life, because when you surround yourself with great people, the right people, it also encourages you to love life, to enjoy life, to see life worth living, even appreciating small things in life. And also it takes you, and also you have to, that's why healing, to start your healing journey is important. It also allows you to choose the right things in life. So, and even good things are so healthy for you. And to me, I love people, of course. I love people, and also it allows you to listen, to be compassionate. So somebody asked me once, what makes you feel, like how can you tell as a survivor you healed? Is when you are compassionate to another human being. If you have inside of you to listen to another person, because you listen to another human being, that means you've done the work. Like what you're doing, so like what you do, you listen. So that means you've done so much work within yourself. That's why you're able to be compassionate to another person. So it's to me, I also like enjoy small things in life, and I just try to do the positive things in life. I'm always a person who seeks something positive. I love good positive affirmations and something nice to have people that
do you have like a routine you want to share with us? I mean, I think
yes, I can share
also,
things.
When you touched on compassion, I think like, especially like in the world we're living in right now, we're living in a world that all of us have opinions, and we're all entitled to our opinions. But we need, the world needs people like who have compassion. So whatever we're doing, we need to let compassion lead the way. And that is, once you, because I know love is the greatest, but compassion is, because you can put yourself in the other person's shoes. That's what you were saying, that if you see someone else acting a certain way, instead of judging or classing them, you can see, you like, I wonder what happened to this person. So I think compassion, I want to see the world full of compassionate people, where we really come together, we create space for each other to heal. We don't judge each other. Whatever journey, whatever happened to you, whatever you did, we all just come together. At the end of the day, we're all trying to figure it out. We're all learning. Nobody's perfect. But go ahead and share your
my mantra.
Your mantra. Or your spiritual routine, because everyone has that special thing.
Yes, I always say that if you all plant a seed of love wherever we go, and encourage each other to do the same thing, our world will be a better place. So wherever you are, plant a seed of love. It doesn't matter, in your job, in whatever area you are in life, plant something positive, something good, and you will see it will be good to you too. It's it comes back to you too. So, but it has to begin with you. How you treat yourself when you are alone, you yourself. What do? Do you do something good for yourself, for your mind? When you wake up in the morning, do you immediately take your phone and scroll on social media to see something like, what happened? What is what is popping? What do you do first?
Yeah.
Just pray and do something, like take a shower, listening to something good or whatever, gospel music or something good or whatever you want to do, but something to nourish your soul. Nourish your soul with something good every day, and then you're able.
Like for you, what are like 3 things you do every single morning before you start your day to keep your mind,
to get my mind,
to get your mind
started. Yes,
started.
yes. One of the things I've learned is to get up. Of course, I get up and pray first, and then of course I have a journal. I always have a journal around me to write something that I'm grateful for. So I have a journal for a gratitude journal. I also have a prayer journal.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know that recently too, I have realized like when I pray, I'm like vocal, I'm praying, right? But recently, especially in the beginning of this year, God
Actually,
has
I like to write
writing my
prayer.
prayers down.
I like to write prayer more than I won't speak like, but I like, because I like to be quiet so that I can be meditating in a very, very quiet, like I want to feel it within me. So that's why I have that, like that. So, and then also have, the gratitude journal, like what I'm grateful for. And then at the same time, you have to, and I drink water after that. Of course, you have to drink a bottle of water. Yeah, so then when you're taking a shower and all that, you have to listen to something uplifting. So in your ears, like you have to, and then your day will be good. Actually, it doesn't matter what you're going to see on the street. There's something you will have the strength. Yeah, and you're able to persevere on anything. It doesn't matter what you may face during the day. So you have that kind of patience. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, you are patient." No, it doesn't just come like that. It comes from what you do. As a routine, your habits. So, and sometimes you may not like and it allows you to keep that positive spirit, and whatever you have a pain, you know what to do. So if you're going through something, you know what to do. So instead of like destroying yourself, instead of like thinking of something like to numb what are you feeling, you know what to do. Like, hey, and then you don't feel alone. Because you are alone.
Right. I feel like if I start my day without God, I don't want to start my day without God.
And then
no, I want to start my day with Him and then my day.
And then it becomes a joy to you. It's almost like you're creating a healthy lifestyle, which it also becomes a joy to you. So of course, and then you exercise if you can all the time. So I try my best I could.
But that's us. That is our trainer. She's our personal trainer.
Yes,
but anyway, I have another question for you. So what is that one thing you would like that you've always wanted to do and you want to make sure, like this year, you don't want this year to end without you doing it?
Well, I was thinking,
you have to make a promise to us that you're gonna have it. And then
I am one of the things, maybe before I respond to that question, one of the things I realized when you go through the journey of healing, of course everything changes in your life and the lifestyle and the things you like, and then you become also I don't know, there's something, you become so, like one of the things that I've realized, I because I want to come back to my younger self, go back to that girl, that joyful girl, that 14-year-old, the joyful girl. So I was able to meet her. Yeah. So now I'm always like, it was a long journey to get to her, but now I said to myself, wow, now I appreciate instead of thinking painful things I've gone through, I'm always, now I'm appreciating good things that have happened to me before, because I was far away from the good memories I shared with you before. But then to come back to those memories again, I had to go through, you know, that journey to get back to that. So now I'm, oh wow, now I remember good things I've had with my dad, instead of thinking how tortured, the torture he went through. So, or I'll think of the good things I've had with my brothers. So, but one of the things that I want to do, you know, I've been thinking to do, so hopefully I can write a novel about a kid's book, and you know.
Oh, please do. Please do. I don't have kids yet, but one day when
no, and the kids book I want to write, it's not a, which is the healing, which is good when you go through the healing journey. So I went back to thinking very much about my dad, the good things I've had with my dad. So, and I want to write a kid's book based on a story of me and my dad. So I grew up, you know, with my dad, and you know, I just mostly will be my dad. So the kid story about my dad being a teacher, what he's being a parent, what it feels like. I want to, I hopefully can make my mom happy too. So, but it will be a kid's book, so that will help. Hopefully, can help many young Rwandans and hopefully young generation to see this man who gave his whole life to make kids happy, children happy, including his own children, and what it feels like to be, and fun too. He was a fun man, a Rwandan man who knew how to feed his children, who knew how to play with his children, who knew how to take a shower with you.
And that's the way to
so
honor.
I want to write a kid's book like that. Hopefully it can be an inspiration to, you know, to parents, and what if, you know, that it feels good to take care of your kids from early on, and it carries me through my life too, to think of like those.
And you know, one thing I want to say to you, and you know, like, and this is someone else out there, if they ask themselves questions like, how do you know that you healed, and how do you know that you are healing, is because when there's a phase you get to in your spirit where peace is, it becomes, you are peaceful, you become so peaceful, like even when things are going like wrong, or it's not that things have to be all the time wonderful, but you have this peace and joy, and everything that you do, it comes from, like, it's coming from that place of joy, that place of peace, and that place of, you know, wanting to even share the healing with others. You know, there's no such thing as self-destruction, you know, bitterness and anger. You move in a way that is loving and that is joy, and like really peaceful. So, and I see that, I see that in you. I see the joy. I'm telling you, every time we talk, your joy is contagious. And also, like, not to talk about myself, but most people ask me like why I'm always like happy, like why I'm
and beautiful. You are,
sometimes people
like, you could see you're radiant. Radiant. That's the word. You're radiant. Radiant joy on your face. Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
It's Jesus, girl. It is Jesus. You know, and because I take time to every single day to. I always look at inside of my soul. I always search myself. I'm like, God, I need to know in my heart, like, is there any person that I have, you know, is there any unforgiveness in me? Is there anything that I need to release? So I think it's an everyday thing that we have to. So my last question, and we're done. Oh my God, I can't believe we did.
Sorry, I was trying not to say too.
I just want to thank every single person who was like who tuned in, guys. Thank you for taking time and listening to Consolee's testimony. Thank you for giving us your time. God bless you. I hope you guys learned something. I think you guys were blessed, and thank you for those who sent watches. I mean, wow, thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
I know. So my last question is, if tomorrow was the last, if tomorrow was your last day on earth, What is one piece of advice that you would give to
youth?
To the youth. What is the last piece of advice you would say, hey, listen, tomorrow's my last day, but this is what I want to leave to the youth, especially the random youth?
Yeah. To never give up hope. No matter what horrible circumstances you may face in your life, never lose hope. For losing hope is the beginning of your own self-defeat. That's my mantra. And I give it to everybody. Yeah.
That's it. That's it. When we lose hope, when we lose faith, that's
and
it.
Another
There's
thing,
nothing after
when
that.
you have faith, you have strength. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much,
You're welcome.
Receive my hugs. I know you're in New York and I'm in California.
Thank you.
So I'm stretching my hands to you.
So
I'm just giving you so many hugs.
Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
I really enjoyed being here, and thank you really for having me. I enjoyed having a conversation with you. You're doing an incredible work for the community, for everybody around the world in general. So you're an inspiration to so many. Remember, what you're doing will heal. You are healing every heart. Every person who comes here, I'm sure they are changed by every word you said, and it's so important for our young people community to heal.
And we're healing. I'm telling you, your story is whatever you like. What you share, I get to learn too, and I get to heal. That's why the Bible says that that we should always, all of us should confess to one another. This is why the Bible encourages community of us coming together and creating peaceful, space for us, a safe space to communicate and talk, because every single person that I talk to or bring here, I'm learning from them and I get to learn. And that also helps my healing journey as well.
Thank you so much.
So people like you inspire me. You don't understand. Keep up. And I want to say something. You have a gift. You have a prophetic gift since you were young. God gave you that gift. But you probably were not able to be mentored, or no one knew about it. But the dreams you have, that's another form of God's way to communicate with you. So every time you have dreams, you should also have a dream. That's
another one. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Have a dream journal, and every single time you have dreams, pray on them and ask the Holy Spirit to give you the interpretation. Because sometimes God is speaking to you to deliver a message to someone, or He's asking you to stand in the gap to something bad from happening. Or sometimes it's another way of God preparing us to what's to come. So
thank
your dreams seriously. Have a journal of dreams, because that's for God speaks to you through dreams.
I've had tons of dreams. Yes, I've written a few in my journal, but not many. But a very few. But I have to have a journal for that. Thank you for giving me that advice.
Because it's also in your journey, you're healing. Some dreams also God communicate with you, but on the stage where you're at, what the steps you're taking, how far you where you are and where you're going. So add that
journal. That one. Thank you for the good advice.
Yes.
Who knows what we have?
Right? You never know, girl. You never know. You never know. Yeah. So thank you. God bless you. Thanks to every single person who was here. We love you. We appreciate you. Until next time. I'll post this on YouTube, by the way, for people who want to see it. I'll probably just cut it in a few parts because it's long. But it will be available on YouTube.
Thank you so much, everyone. Remember to take care of yourself. Remember.
Please take care of yourself. Keep God first. Self-love, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. Every time you see somebody, make sure to remember that their reflection, you can see yourself in them, and they can see themselves in you. So let's learn to love and to have compassion, and to just spread positivity, spread love, and spread joy. That's what the world needs.
That's what the world needs. Yes, definitely.
We need that.
a seed of love everywhere.
Yeah. Plant a seed of love everywhere you go, guys. Plant a seed. If you live, I mean, you've taken anything from this life, remember to plant a seed of love everywhere you go and to have compassion.
Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you, girl.
I'll talk to you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tino. Thank you.